Hello, everyone. Welcome to Entertainment Expansion. We are your hosts, Tyler Callahan and Mike Ferrante. Mike, how you doing?
Swimmingly. Tyler, how about yourself?
Aha, swimmingly. Look at you at the jokes today, huh?
Yeah,
Yeah, we're here at a funeral, though. You come in
we
here
are.
with jokes?
I do. It's an ocean burial.
Well, we are, of course, talking about not Avatar, not the Avatar, water one. We're talking about Aquaman and is it the Lost Kingdom? Yeah.
I believe so, yes.
Okay, Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. This is the second Aquaman movie. This is the final movie in the DCEU, and just a quick box office fact, just throwing it out there. And also kind of shows you how fucked this franchise has been. Did you know Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom is the most profitable movie at the box office for the DCEU since the last Aquaman movie?
Well, at least we know the turnout's good for Aquaman.
Yeah, yeah. The issue with that is, first Aquaman came out at the end of 2018.
Yeah,
So for over 5, 6 years, just obviously pandemic affected a few of them. But like Black Adam didn't do as good as this one. Wonder Woman didn't do as good as this one. Both Shazams. But yeah, we might give our closing remarks on DCU in a few minutes. We do have a full movie to talk about. This is a movie that has been delayed a few times. This is a movie that was rumored to have a bunch of production issues. We're talking multiple reshoots. We're talking multiple cuts. Uh, at one point before James Gunn was brought in, we were going to get a post-credit scene with Ben Affleck Batman. You know, keep this keep this franchise alive. That's not happening anymore.
nope.
So what we have is a finished product. We have a 2-hour movie, clean cut, in and out. Mike, what'd you think?
Well, it surprisingly wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be for a movie that has no stakes. Because at the end of the day, we all know it. This is the last movie of the DCEU, so it's a movie that doesn't really matter. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it
Mhm.
had to be made because it was kind of already halfway through. They're not just going to throw all that money away, especially since the first one did do well at the box office. And I just got to jump right into the best part about the movie. It was the buddy cop duo of Patrick Wilson and Jason Momoa. I
Yes.
think that kind of saved this movie.
Honestly, if that was the entire movie and not like half the movie, because Patrick Wilson doesn't really come in until like 50 minutes in. If it was a buddy cop adventure for a solid 2.5 hours, this would be one of my like top five DC movies. The chemistry they have between each other is great. Uh, but yeah, you're right. It's what saves this movie.
Yeah, and I mean, don't get me wrong. One thing the movie does pretty well again is special effects.
Yeah.
I don't think there was really a standout moment where you're like, "Wow, this looks like god awful." Calling you out into Black Panther again.
I do actually want to defend the movie here a little bit. Shocking, I know, but I have seen the occasional comments online where like they rip apart Aquaman and be like, "Oh, this is nowhere near as good as Avatar: The Way of Water." Like, how are they doing this? All right, one, James Cameron spent almost 10 goddamn years making that movie. All right,
Yeah,
he's on his own time, he's on his own budget. Disney just has to put up with it because he's James Cameron, and James Cameron does what James Cameron wants. South Park has
uh,
told us anything. Number two, the fact that yeah, in normal times, this would have been pumped out in 2 or 3 years. For a normal superhero movie that's pumped out every 2 or 3 years, the special effects, like you said, they look good. The underwater still looks good. Like James Wan has an eye for that, and his team brought it to life. So, is it anything earth-shattering amazing? No, it's not like Avatar. But compared to some other CGI, you mentioned Black Panther, Flash, um,
yeah,
a lot better.
definitely was. Thor: Love and Thunder.
Yeah, yeah.
To be fair, the DCU overall has kind of maintained better CGI than Marvel has for the
Flash
most.
really dragging down that reputation, though. Oof.
It really did. Flash is like the real big outlier there. But let's get into some negatives. For a movie that literally could have done anything it wanted, No one really died.
Kind of goes back to what you started off with, where it's the plot, the story, it's not important. Nothing really mattered. There's no stakes. And the funny thing is throughout the film, there's multiple chances where they could have killed off some of the main cast.
Yeah, like
It's
his
not like they
dad.
didn't wrote it to where no one could die. It's like, no, they just keep getting brought back.
Yeah, like his dad really should have been dead,
Hmm.
but no, we're gonna keep him
And,
alive.
and I'm not one of those guys that's like, well, for development for the character, you have to kill someone off. I'm not that guy. It does help for motivation, but I'm not saying like the entire cast here had to die. But here's the thing, and small spoiler alert here for this. It's not that big of a spoiler since he's not in the movie. But Defoe, Willem Dafoe, he's not in the
Yeah,
movie. He doesn't come back. They write him off that he died due to the plague in between the movies.
yeah,
Like the main character from the first movie that died, a supporting character dies off screen and is written off. Everyone who shows up in here at some point in the movie is still alive by the end. The baby, Amber Heard, uh, Jason Momoa's father. Like you would even think his mother, right? Since she actually went up to try and fight, you know, or fight at one point. It's like no one like people got injured,
yeah,
but no one died. Kind of lower stakes, and also think they kind of wrote themselves into a corner. Oh, we're having sped up global warming. Well, clearly no one's going to die then, like at least like normal citizens, because I don't think the movie's going to end with the Earth melting.
that'd be
So
funny though.
it would be funny, but we already know that's going to be stopped.
Yeah.
Or if it's like
Well,
just Florida that's underwater and that's it. Oh, Aquaman couldn't save Florida. Everyone else is fine.
Aquaman and Reminiscence smash up.
The same studio. It could happen.
The movie we never wanted but needed.
I think some of the
Yeah,
jokes were also not that good. I do think though it was a decision by James Wan to have this not be a real serious film. I think. I think that's clearly one of the things. It's like he wanted to bring it back to like a superhero movie from the 2000s, kind of like Venom to a degree, I think. Or it is
yeah,
not that serious. Like you have the baby, peeing in, Aquaman's face, like ha 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 ha. Okay, crude humor. All right, whatever.
yeah.
Um,
That was overplayed though. Let's be very honest here.
oh no, it
Like,
was. But
all
then you
right,
have Aquaman, like, oh, he jumps into a giant pillar, and then it turns out to be the right thing to do. It's like, okay, like a lot of physical comedy in this movie,
yeah.
more than I
I
expected.
mean, the the one joke that kind of stands out in my mind, at least, is the long con, right? Where Aquaman picks up a cockroach and tells Orm, "Hey, this is delicious. You got to eat this." And Orm eats it, and he thinks it's a joke, and he's like, "Yeah, it's actually not that bad." And then he keeps telling him, we got to get a burger and a Guinness when this is all over. Post credit scene, spoiler alert, sorry, it doesn't actually ruin anything, is him putting a cockroach on the burger and finding it better. I thought that was actually pretty funny.
Yeah, I mean, a joke they put actual effort into, yeah, it turned out pretty
Yeah.
well.
Like, I feel like that one stuck the landing. Like, it was funny in the beginning, but then somehow they made it actually work again. And it's kind of hard to tell the same joke twice.
Hmm.
All right, another letdown. The action was not as good as the first Aquaman, and I feel like there's actually less of it.
I, I'm going to disagree with you here a little bit. I don't think it's worse than the first one, but there is less of it. There's definitely less of it. I feel the action's on par with the first one because the first one didn't have anything like amazing. Like, all right, so this one doesn't have the massive like war, like Lord of the Rings scale fight scenes with the armies. Like,
Yes.
but you take that out, like the one-on-one or one-on-two fights, that's here a few times in the movie, less than the first one. But I think if you compare them, between each other, I think it comes out pretty equal, at least for me.
I don't know. I feel like the two standout fights of the original was obviously Aquaman and Orm Part 1 and Part 2. Both were very good fight scenes, well choreographed and just well shot. Whereas this movie, you really only had the one, which was Aquaman and Manta, which was a good fight scene. But then after that, I feel like my expectation was, all right, Orm and Aquaman are gonna have to team up to defeat this I forget this guy's name.
The
The
the the evil dead king guy.
Yeah, King Atlantean's actual brother, who was an evil wizard of sorts, his own dark trident. I thought we were gonna have an epic battle with those three, and that just never happened. I feel like it was very anticlimactic. Like the big bad ended up being an afterthought.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like kind of goes back to the rewrites too, with all the reshoots. Speaking of the final battle, though, I will give props to the writer. I will give props to how they wrote the character. Was it Black Manta?
Yeah,
The fact that he had a chance to be saved, but hates Aquaman so much, he's like, "Fuck it, no, I'm dying. You don't
yep.
get to save me." Like, all right, respect.
Man's got his convictions. Live or die by them, and I guess he
Asshole
chose
the
the
entire
latter.
movie, wants Aquaman and his family dead. I also like some of his comments too about Aquaman too. Like, oh, you're taking the king's wife too?
Yeah,
Like he's trying to get into his head. He dies on his terms. I respect that. But yeah, the final like dead spirit dude, like, all right, whatever.
yeah. No, that's one thing the writers did do a great job at was Mantha,
Like a knockoff Voldemort.
I guess.
Well,
Um,
all right. It's not like Voldemort's in the back of like Black Manta's head, but like
well,
tries to possess him,
yeah,
persuade him to get him to come back, do the thing so he can come back physically in the real world. He has his own army, which obviously is not exactly the same, but like Death Eaters, right? Except those are real people. But
well, if they were, they're zombies now, or if they
yeah,
were zombies.
and
A
it
lot of
seemed like they wanted to focus more on, and again, I assume this is more of a, like again, not to be super serious, but it was more like, okay, well, instead of having the amazing, fight that you mentioned you wanted to see, they clearly focused more on Orm has turned the corner and is at least like starting to become a good guy.
Yeah, and
Because
I
they make it
do.
the point that, oh, he has a lot more hatred for Aquaman than Black Manta, and as we've seen, Black Manta has a lot of hatred.
He does, and I feel like they did a good job of, or at least Patrick Wilson's acting did a good job when they were kind of having that heart to heart, like, wait, so you didn't even want the throne? He's like, no, I don't. And he basically told him, oh, well, my dad was telling me I need to prepare because you're going to take it. Basically, that whole confrontation never needed to happen. So all that hate for him was for no reason.
Hmm. But
He
again, that
just
goes
wanted,
back to the relationship between them. Best part of the movie.
yes. So I feel like the writing on that aspect, fantastic.
Yeah. And then I guess to wrap up the film, awkwardly, Aquaman announces himself to the world as a whole ceremony in New York City, and then he swims away. It's like he has a superhero moment of announcing himself to the world, clearly teasing a third movie or a Justice League sequel that will never happen.
Yeah. Also, I want to bring up one thing too.
Hmm.
So Orm was imprisoned because he killed the Brine King, right?
I believe so,
Or at
yeah.
least cut off his hand, something like that.
Yeah,
Or
because
he
there's
did,
a reason he went with them and not anyone else.
yeah. But by the end of the movie, the new Brine King is cool with Orm. He's like, yeah, he can go free. Why not just let him back into Atlantis then? Because the only reason that was stopping him was technically the treaty with the Brine. If the Brine's cool with it, then he should be fine.
Uh, you would think so, yeah.
Yeah,
But they
that's
chose not
my
to.
last negative comment.
What I really want to be is like part Atlantean. This way, I can just drink some salt water and I'll get a six-pack abs. Just like that.
If it were that easy.
If it was that easy, yeah. Shredded.
Fucking saltwater steroids to them.
All right, I guess before we do any final thoughts on DCU, Aquaman, The Lost Kingdom, do you recommend it?
Yeah, why not? It's not a bad watch. I mean, you're not going to be bored watching it, that's for certain. And I feel like the first one, you're probably going to like this one too. So, yeah, give it a watch.
Yeah, I'm of the same mind personally. Um, I prefer this one slightly a bit better than the second one. Sorry, I prefer this one slightly more than the first one. I know a lot of people are like, oh, first Aquaman's pretty good and all that. Nothing amazing, but it was good. And I watched it and I was like, I didn't care for it, to be honest. I did not care for Aquaman. But this one, knowing everything behind the scenes of what might have happened, its last movie, it should have been it should have been the train wreck The Flash was, but it wasn't. I had a decent time, and I think for me, knowing that this wasn't going into a third film or building up to anything else, I enjoyed it for what it was. So it's definitely worth the watch. Yeah, I still think it's better than the first one.
Okay, well that starts us off to our next part. Is we had to rank the two. Obviously, you're putting it in Aquaman 2, then 1, 2 being the best.
No.
I might have to disagree with you
Okay.
and put 1 above 2 for the simple fact there was no Pitbull covers in the sequel.
I know you were really looking forward to another Pitbull cover.
Yeah, because nothing was. That was the best moment of the first one when they're coming out of water into the Sahara and Pitbull's cover of Africa is playing. Nothing pulls you out of a movie. It makes you go,
Because
"What the fuck?"
subtlety
Like
is
that.
James Wan's specialty.
Fucking apparently. I will never let them live that down. That has got to be the worst
I want to know how
fucking
much Pitbull got
transition.
paid for that. It's like, really? You want me to cover this song? You sure? It's not normally the music I do, but okay.
Mr. Worldwide. He's going world fucking wide. He's
All right, let's wrap up then. This is the last movie of DCEU, besides the Joker movie this year. DC is now going into hibernation as we await the Batman Part 2. We await Peacemaker Season 2, Superman, Supergirl, all of that. This was since Aquaman came out in 2013, this was a 10 years of this current iteration of DCU. And I would say, at least personally for me, while I enjoyed a lot of Zack Snyder's movies, it seemed like for a lot of people, once Batman v Superman came out, everyone was jumping off the plane. And when Suicide Squad came out, everyone has checked out.
yeah.
Which for Suicide Squad, I understand. That was a piece of shit movie. Like,
Yeah,
I will defend Batman v Superman any day of the week. I am not defending Suicide Squad. That's a shit movie.
yeah. We can definitely say one thing for certain now that DCU is officially over. It was a roller coaster of movies.
Yes. Yes. And I think definitely for as much as some people give Marvel flack for being formulaic in cinematography or in what the actors and directors can or can't do, for the most part, up until phase four, you can't knock them for consistency. And as we saw with the DCU, consistency was not a word in
No,
their dictionary.
it was not. Well, as always, these are just our thoughts.
Also,
How do you
fuck the
feel?
Flash.
Yeah, that fuck that movie. If you agree with us and also are saying fuck the Flash, please give us a like. But as always, feel free to let us know your thoughts on Aquaman 2 and the entirety of the DCEU and its ups and downs at Entertainment Expansion. Check us out on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Thank you for listening.